Welcome to my first ever Games of the Year awards. Let's be frank, 2021 sucked, but the games of 2021 were excellent, and I want to highlight what I consider to be the best 5 games of 2021. At number 5, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Okay, this either comes as no surprise for making the list, or as a big surprise that it's only number 5. So here's the deal. I love Mass Effect, obviously, and a remaster has been a dream come true. As much as I love the original Mass Effect, it was definitely showing its age. In a way, my Screw Myself Over run was meant as a love letter to Mass Effect, and then EA, of all people, gave us the gift of this remaster. And I can only hope that it introduced a new generation to this great story. Now, why number 5? Well, as good as the remaster is, and it is pretty, I don't think I'm the only one who is hoping for more than just a remaster. There was such an opportunity to freshen up the cutscenes, maybe expand upon them a little bit, particularly the visions that Shepard has in Mass Effect 1. But I suppose you run the risk of giving away too much of the plot if you do that wrong. There were some improvements that I can get behind. Being able to start on Insanity difficulty without 2 other playthroughs first is great. The Mako got some well-deserved love, and I dig the new Thresher mods. They're a lot more intense of a fight these days. Then there's the stuff that I'm just not sure how I feel about, and it mostly relates to the new weapons. There's more varied firing styles, which makes the weapons feel more unique. Instead of just equipping the weapon with the highest damage output like I would in the original, I find myself using different fire rates and different spreads for each kind of weapon, much like I would in the subsequent games. But then they completely removed weapon spread, which is so weird that it feels like a mistake they forgot to go back and fix. If every shot you fire just goes where you point the crosshair from level 1, there's little incentive to pick up the weapon perks aside from cooldown management. It also makes Insanity difficulty almost laughably easy because your damage output from the start is very, very high compared to what it was in the original. Now, of course, I've only scratched the surface, and I'm excited to see what Mass Effect 2 and 3 have in store in the Legendary Edition. But this mixed bag of a great game is why it sits at number 5 on my Games of the Year list. At number 4, we have Wildermyth, a late entry to the list, but a very worthy entry. So, if you don't know, the basic premise is that you and your 2 friends are young blue shrimp farmers in a quiet town until one day, a bunch of evil dogs start attacking your home and... Wait, that's The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 4. Anyways, you and your friends pick your starting classes and start to repel the evil across the land. One of you becomes a warrior, one an archer, and the other a mage. Wait, that's The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7. Anyways, what I really enjoy about this game is the razor's edge that it walks between being challenging without feeling unfair. Every fight feels like it could go horribly wrong, and it just might. Your characters can be damaged to the point that they have reduced stats, or disfigurements, or just flat out die. And it's up to you to decide what the right call is to make at that moment. The combat is team turn based, meaning that each of the characters on your team performs their actions before each of the creatures on the enemy team performs theirs. So, do you want all of your characters to just wail on one big enemy while all the other enemies run around attacking you? Do you want to hobble a few enemies' movement so that the enemies engage your characters a few at a time? Do you want to light every square around you on fire so that the enemy takes damage just trying to get to you? You can do all of that, and given what situation you're facing at the time, what you choose to do may vary. What else is great about this game, aside from everything? You can customize your characters if you want. If you don't care, just hit the randomizer and go. But did I spend my first hour of the game making Shepard, Liara, and Garrus, and then have Shepard and Liara paired up inside of the next hour? Of course I did. The level of customization allows you to tell your own stories within the story, which is lovely. Am I going to make a Mando, Fennec, Grogu party next? I am now. And speaking of stories, the plots written for the various campaigns are brilliantly written, and interspersed with little vignettes that show up based on your characters' personalities. There's so many little things like that really flesh out this universe. And to that point, old characters of yours that have finished other campaigns can show up as legacy characters to show the next generation of heroes the ropes, sometimes literally your own children. Wildermyth certainly deserves your love, and I know it has mine. Number 3, Halo Infinite. Another relatively late entry. Came out just in time for my birthday, in fact. And what a birthday present it was. Look, I don't think I'm saying anything too controversial when I say that Halo 5, and to a lesser degree Halo 4, were a bit of a misstep for the franchise. Trying to tell multiple storylines that converge into a satisfying end through linear levels hasn't really worked since Halo 2, and Halo 5 really flopped with it. Which might be why this just may be the best Halo game since the original, if not the best Halo game ever. There's a few reasons for this. The biggest and probably best change is the step away from, for the most part, the game just being a linear set of levels, to a semi-open world that reminds me a lot of games like Shadow of Mordor, Arkham City, and the modern Tomb Raider games, which is high praise from me. You know where the main missions are on the map, and you can go do them whenever you like, or you can go collectible hunting for as long as you want. I only hope that if they continue with this style of game in the future, that we can get the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor in some capacity. That would make the high-value targets just a little bit better. Halo Infinite also has a good story fairly contained to just this game, instead of feeling like I need to read 6 novels to know what happened between the last game and this one. There's a new enemy. No, not the Banished, that's just the Covenant 2.0. And we saw them in Halo Wars 2, which you may want to play before this game. No, we're introduced to an enemy called the Endless, and we don't learn much about them, but they're introduced as being more dangerous than the Flood, so color me intrigued. There's no Promethean enemies in this game, even though at the end of Halo Wars 2 we see one of the Forerunner Guardians, presumably activated by Cortana, come to Zeta Halo. Nerd! And look, I don't dislike the Prometheans, but I can't say that I missed them in this game. And one final note on enemies in Halo Infinite, holy good god the hunters in this game are terrifying. Every hunter fight will take everything you have to bring them down. They are the strongest and fastest they've ever been. Moving on, I really dig the variant weapons in this game. An assault rifle that's accurate at medium range, a sniper rifle with a huge ammo capacity that doesn't zoom in as much but still has the stopping power, and a larger reticle for easy no-scopes at close range. Sign me up. Oh, and don't sleep on the Sentinel Beam. It might just be the best weapon in the game. No spread, great range, melts shields, huge ammo capacity. The Sentinel Beam definitely carried me throughout the late game. Then the biggest addition to Chief himself, the equipment. It's fantastic, and I don't see how we lived without it. You have your grapple, some enemy scanners, a drop shield, and a dodge thruster. You'll need to master each to make it through the tougher fights of the gate. Once you've upgraded the grapple, even just halfway, while you can't quite Batman Arkham City your way around the map, it's pretty close. But it's not just for traversal. Grab a gun off the ground and bring it to you, board an enemy vehicle with it, hell, grapple an enemy and close in for a melee kill. It is ludicrously versatile. The scanners are a close second. They let you plan out your attack, and with enough upgrades, will actually show you the enemy's health bars. But they're most useful for showing you where cloaked elites are hiding, and since they stick wherever they hit, just go ahead and tag the elite himself, and you'll always know where he is. The drop shields and dodge thrusters are both there to give you some breathing room in tough situations, especially once the dodge is fully upgraded and gives you a few seconds of active camo after you use it. I could go on and on about Halo Infinite, but I recommend you just load up a squad of your own Marines and a Razorback, go assault a Banished stronghold, and see for yourself. You'll be hooked. My 2021 Games of the Year runner-up, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, the second Pathfinder tabletop campaign adapted to a video game by Owlcat Games, and wow, what an amazing job they've done. The basics are that demons are invading the world through a dimensional rift known as the World Wound, and thanks to a series of divine interventions, you have superpowers now, and you and your friends, / the people standing near to you at the time, are leading a crusade to repel the abyssal forces and close the World Wound. That's how it starts anyways. Inside of the second act or so of the game, you can really start to take this any way you want. Want to continue on as an angelic force of good? Go for it. Want to become a lich and turn all of your allies into a horde of undead to fight the demons? You do you. Want to become a sentient swarm of insects and eat through the demon armies like locusts in a wheat field? You can! The replayability of this game is insane. Unlike its predecessor Pathfinder Kingmaker, where they really wanted you to be a paladin, you have much more flexibility to do whatever you like in Wrath of the Righteous, including the Immortal Queen, if you'd like. While the fights can certainly be tough, the game has encounters that make you feel mighty. Conquering the gladiatorial arena of the demons, no problem. Slaying demon lords and having tea with actual gods, we call that Tuesday. The kingdom management system from Kingmaker got seriously simplified for the better, and now most of it revolves around building up your armies to fight the demons, and you actually fight them, in a stratego-risk hybrid type of combat system that often boils down to who has the most archers, but you can't neglect your other units either, otherwise the enemy will swarm your archers in an instant. It's a simple but elegant combat system that I really dig. There are too many companions to highlight the strengths of each, but the game does a great job of making you feel like just a group of misfits that happen to have common goals in the early levels, to feeling like family members that you would do anything to protect later on. It's just fantastic writing of all of these characters. Ember and Arushale stand out as some of the best written characters in the game. And screw Camellia, she's awful and nothing will ever change my mind about that. At the time of this recording, I have nearly 300 hours invested in just my first playthrough alone, and I'm still probably 40 or 50 hours away from starting the endgame. If nothing else, you certainly get your money's worth in Wrath. But there are a myriad of great qualities beyond that that I highly, highly encourage you to explore in any way that feels right to you. With that, we've come to the end, and my 2021 Game of the Year is Life is Strange True Colors, and what a well-deserved title. The original Life is Strange holds a special place in my heart, and if I had been making videos in 2015, well, okay, that was a seriously stacked year for gaming. But it would have been also placed high on my list. And while the original Life is Strange was groundbreaking and forged the path for subsequent stories to be told in this universe, all of the other Life is Strange games feel like they were rough drafts before seeing something that elevates games to the status of true works of art, as we see in Life is Strange True Colors. You play as Alex Chen, reuniting with her long-lost brother Gabe, in the gorgeous town of Haven. And before you ask, no, you never get over how pretty this game is. It's going to age beautifully. It turns out, Alex has a superpower. She can see and feel the emotions of people and objects that are associated with strong emotional memory. She's largely hid this power her whole life because of how consumed she can become in these emotions. While we all have our own walls up around our own traumas to keep ourselves from losing control, Alex doesn't always have the luxury of preparing herself before potentially feeling the full force of somebody's worst day. But events cause her to tap into this power and try to master it to help those in need around her and to help herself. This game poses fascinating moral questions that would be well at home on a show like The Good Place. Alex eventually learns that she has the ability to take away people's strong emotions, such as their fear of something or their anger towards a person or a situation. And herein lies the question: does she have the right to take that from other people? By doing so, is she robbing that person of the opportunity to work through the situation themselves and grow? Or does she have the duty, the responsibility, to reduce a person's pain? If she sees suffering in the world and does nothing to alleviate it when she can, is she then contributing to their suffering? It's a masterclass in writing, and all I can tell you is, be honest and do what you think is right. That's all any of us can do. As for the other bits of the game, the voice acting is flawless. There's not a weak performance among the cast, and every character is fleshed out. You feel like you're living in a small town where everybody knows everybody, but you have to put in the effort to be their friend, or maybe even their lover. Steph is a real highlight and the perfect level of fan service as a legacy character, tying it all back to the original Life is Strange, even if she was just in the prequel. and it's no wonder they've dedicated an entire DLC to Steph's character. Katie Bentz delivers a phenomenal voice performance, and I hope we haven't seen the last of her. Is it worth mentioning how good the soundtrack is, considering it's a Life is Strange game and the soundtracks are always great? Yes. This one in particular is that good. The soundtrack isn't just there to bookend chapters of the story, but rather it feels more like it's another member of the cast, tugging at your emotions at key moments reminiscent of some of the best episodes of the Scrubs TV show. I've been listening to this playlist on repeat at an alarming frequency for several months now. Do yourself a favor and check it out. The final part that I want to talk about is a section of the game that was a gamble, but they just went for it, and I'm so glad they did. And that's the chapter with the LARP. If you don't know, LARP stands for Live Action Roleplay. Basically, Dungeons and Dragons in real life. It puts this make-believe type moment with Final Fantasy elements right smack in the middle of the game when you're really figuring out your relationships with everybody in the town, and it just all works somehow. It's brilliant. For all those reasons, and so many more that I can't go into without spoiling the plot, Life is Strange True Colors is the one game this year that, if I hadn't played it, but still knew what I do now, I would feel like I had missed out on something truly special. That's why it's my well-deserved 2021 Game of the Year. I hope we can find even more quality experiences in 2022, and I hope you join me here for those. Thank you for your time, and I will talk to you again soon.